What's up, man?
How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah, Jeff Schneider couldn't join us today. He had something come up, so he said he promised to come next weekend.
Okay, cool.
Josh, how's it going over there?
Oh, it's going good.
Okay, your chest looks good. What do
Oh,
you?
well, thank you. I appreciate that. So how are you guys
How's
doing?
everybody's day going? I hope it's going better than mine. I didn't think I was gonna. For one moment, I thought I was gonna make it here. I was at Wendy's, and I thought they might end up having to bail me out for going postal in freaking Wendy's. They started off bad, and they have a way of really always screwing you. I was at work today. So for 4.5 years now, never had an issue with money. Never had a fucking counterfeit bill. A guy comes in all the time, pays cash all the time, never thought anything of it. I grabbed the money, gave him change, moved on to the next. I went to drop my money. Money's not. What drives me crazy the most, I was such a fucking idiot. I go to drop the money. I try a couple times. It doesn't drop. I'm looking to see whether there's some oil in it, on it or something, or gasoline. It might not drop sometimes. The second I looked at it, I knew it was a fucking bad bill. So it was a fucking idiot move on my part. So being so irresponsible. Go to Wendy's on the way home. My girlfriend wants some Wendy's. I'm gonna order something also. Comes out that they want $15 an hour. Comes out to 18. Using my card, but I don't want to. I want to even it out of it on my card. So I give him 20 cents, and I give him the card, and I say, take 18 out on the card. Then I look at it. He takes 20 cents off the bill, so now it's 17.98. I'm not in the best freaking mood. Not at all.
I'm
Then
sorry, dude.
he says, "Oh, can we replace the potato? Wanted the chili and cheese baked potato with something else. We don't have any potatoes ready. Like, why do you take my fucking order if you don't have my fucking baked potato ready? I want my money back. They give me the money back. One of was they got a baked potato in there, but when they got it home, I don't know what they did with it. The thing was fucking burned. But when with the second screw up over there, I was ready to flip on them, and unbelievably, I was able to keep my cool. Usually, under those circumstances, I start to snap.
Well, yeah, the older we get, the better we are at controlling that.
Yeah.
To go in the
Hey,
house.
hey, real quick, I want to say, hey, Josh, uh, I think you might need to back up from your screen just like a tad bit.
Okay, hang on, guys.
Okay.
How about that?
It might not make a difference. How do you see yourself on the screen? You see yourself good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tiny window.
When we had George on,
Oh, I can
I
see
didn't
it
see
through the reflection there. Hang on.
Yeah, we can use my mirror.
Is that better? A little bit?
Let's see.
Chris. When we had George on, uh, I didn't see. I only saw half of George's face when we were filming. But when I went back to work on the video, I saw his whole face. It was perfect. So I got a feeling we don't actually necessarily see what's being recorded. You see a little different.
Here, I'm
Well,
gonna try to download Skype on my computer real quick. And
okay.
see if that will kick in here. So
Okay.
How's everything going at home, Chris?
Oh, good. I just installed this custom drawer we had ordered for our cabinets in the kitchen. So we're gonna rebuild the kitchen like as money efficient as possible, and so we're gonna rebuild the cabinets we have. and so we're getting like custom drawers and sliders and stuff, and so I just finished one drawer, but yeah, and then the bathroom's almost done. I changed the oil in my car just now, cleaned my garage, so it's been a good day.
I I threw something at you the other day about Arnold. I got a question over here. I try this. Most people are ready to chew my head off for this. I think not taking away his contribution to bodybuilding, but as a bodybuilder, I think Arnold is overrated. By no fault of his own, one of his shows, he was the only competitor. One of his wins, I could win maybe just one, but I'm pretty sure it's two. It was only two competitors, and then 1980. I think most people think that's probably the most controversial decision. If you look at him physique-wise, his legs didn't match his upper body. I know legs were looked at differently then, but most of the competitors then, even though the development wasn't quite the same, the legs were fairly much in proportion with the rest of their body. His arms, his triceps a little lacking for his biceps, and you look at his biceps, they're not the same. They're tied, the muscle is tied in differently. You see by the shape of the biceps. Take a good look at it, especially his front upper biceps. It's very noticeable. I don't think he was, I think there were better physiques, a few physiques out there that I would rate better. Is he overrated?
Yeah, I mean, I think a tad bit for sure. Like some people say, he was the greatest there ever was. But it's hard to compare eras to old eras to newer ones. For Arnold's time, he was the best, and he was a pioneer in setting standards. Posing too. I mean, him and Ed Corney. So I think when people say he's the greatest ever, it's him as a package, as a person overall. But as a bodybuilder, like you were saying, if you're just looking at his physique, it wasn't the most symmetrical ever. Like you were saying, his legs were kind of like overpowered by his arms. But for Arnold and his the way he looked, it worked for him. But yeah, I guess he was a bit overrated. But hey, real quick before we segue into the podcast, I wanted to say we'll confirm that when Josh downloads the thing, we'll get him set in the screen, and then if you want to do the usual opener, and then let's introduce Josh because he hasn't been on the show yet, so maybe we can have him say a little bit about himself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and join you guys right now.
Okay.
Let's see.
Once again, if you're
Is that better?
Yep, let me end this now.
Something's going on with someone's mic now.
There we go.
Okay, hey, that works. So now you're right in the center of the screen.
Cool.
We're ready to go.
Yep.
Once again, watch us on Muscle Central. Make sure you go over to Buffy the Iron Slayer, Chris Miller's channel. Check out all his great content. If you're watching this on Buffy the Iron Slayer, come over to Muscle Central and check out my content. We don't have Jeff Schneider with us today, but today we have Josh Connor.
Hi, guys.
Before we get back to Arnold, who is Josh Connor?
Oh, all right. I am 41 years old. I've been doing bodybuilding since I was 22. Always wanted to do it in high school, but I am unfortunately sports overlap that. Wrestling, football, track. I never really got down to a competition until my first year out of college, and I won I think it was fourth place in novice and then second place in the open, which was weird because I would figure it'd be the other way around. I don't know how that happened. Novice class was actually better than the open class.
Interesting.
So, and from there on out, I've just done endless shows. I mean, I think I've done a total of 17 shows. Like Chris, I was a pro with PNBA for a little bit until, things didn't happen there anymore. And I have not stepped back on stage here in the last 3 years. My last show I was going to do got canceled, which I was really pissed off about. So I just have been kind of in limbo, maintaining my physique right now, just kind of seeing where I'm going to go from there.
Do you have anything you want to plug? You do online coaching or something like that? You want to plug it?
Was that?
Do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, just my Instagram right now is at Josh the Slayer Connor. That's all I have at the moment.
Okay.
I'm still slowly working on building up my stuff.
Okay. Chris, so you're going to finish up with Arnold?
Well, real quick, I wanted to say, so me and Josh, I met him in Las Vegas at the Team USA, or what was it? It was
Team USA, yeah.
Okay. And I remember when we were checking in, I see this guy from across the room. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Because, I mean, you can tell in his picture, but Josh in person, he's one of the thickest dudes I've ever met. And me and him are about the same height. I might have him by a half inch or something, but and he outweighs me. So this is like the one guy, especially while we were competing, who I would ever look up to, take advice from. I mean, like, he knows I've said a lot, but like one of the most impressive natural bodybuilders I've ever met.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Definitely. So ever since then, we just kept in touch. Got him on Strike First Nutrition team when I was doing that. Did that for a while, and it's been about what, like 6-7 years or something probably now, I think.
It seems like that, yeah. I think about 7 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's our history.
Have I had a line saying Arnold is overrated?
No, I don't think so either. I think you're on point.
Let's hear what Josh got to say.
I think Arnold had a great physique, especially for his time. I mean, he was a little bit beyond what anybody else kind of offered in terms of symmetry mainly. But I feel like there were a lot of bodybuilders that had thicker muscle and more density than he did. And they were kind of overlooked because of, as usual, political popularity. Yeah. And in my opinion, Menser, I think, held up really well against him. I think Menser got a little ripped off. You got guys like Serge. Serge looked amazing. Yeah. And I just think that he was such a crowd pleaser and popular guy because of his arrogance that it kind of just overshadowed his actual physique.
He had what was going to sell.
Yes, exactly. That's what people were looking for. That's what they wanted to see. It's kind of like, it's no different than today's bodybuilding. I feel like, bigger is better, and not necessarily the case, but it's winning by popularity is the freak. The freak is winning right now.
Joey didn't get where he got by being an idiot. I mean, he knew what he had in Arnold with his. I mean, he was very charismatic. You can't deny that.
Right.
And he was going to get people's attention, and look what happened.
Yep.
Does anybody you agree with what I said about his arms? Do you notice that with his arms, or am I losing my mind? The biceps aren't the same. They look like they're tied. The muscle is tied in differently from one arm to the next. So it's a different shape to the arm. And if you can't think of it now, go back and look at the frontable biceps of him, and you'll see what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like he has a longer head than the other side, but I feel like a lot of that's genetic though, because you look at everybody's physique.
Yeah, that's genetic. I agree, but bodybuilding is about genetics, and it's symmetry, proportion. That's part of what you're judging.
Yeah.
True.
I feel like that do they trip about, would a judge trip about that? I mean, I feel like it's pretty common.
You know, I remember a guy. I don't know, remember his name. Competed in the NPC. No, I don't think he never got his pro card. There was something happened to him where one leg was atrophied. It was actually muscular, but it was so much smaller. He looked, but the leg itself, the muscularity in it was great. The other leg was fine. He looked phenomenal, but I mean, there was a disparity, and there was no matter how, and that's something he couldn't help.
Hmm.
Something medically happened to him, and it caused that. But like I said, it's very noticeable. And if you take the other things in his physique, the leg, like I said, the legs, yeah, the leg, they didn't judge leg development the same way back then, maybe, than they do now. But at least the other guys, most of the other competitors in those days, they were still fairly symmetrical. They just didn't have that type of development that they have now, but there was, proportion wise, they lined up pretty much.
I think Tom Platz was probably one of the first ones to ever look
Yeah.
freaky as hell, and that's
Yeah.
just his legs were way ahead of everything else first.
Yep.
And then eventually his back caught up late. I think in his later years.
But would you agree that for the most part, the guys, the average competitor back then, they were fairly symmetrical, top and bottom. Just that the development wasn't quite the same. They didn't. The legs weren't emphasized the same way. But as far as balance, size wise, but it was definitely for for his upper body, his shoulder width, his height. I take account to his height also.
And I want to throw a wild card out there, because since we're talking about people who are overrated, and this may be unpopular, but dude, I was never impressed with Chris Dickerson.
No, he's probably the least impressive Mr. Olympia of all time.
I thought he had weird looking muscle bellies on like parts of his legs and arms, and I was like, why did he win?
Pointy elbows. I mean,
What did Danny Padilla look like that year that he won?
well, Danny Padilla, I think, should have beaten Franco Colombo.
Well, yeah, of course.
That might have been the second most. I think the Arnold 1980 was probably the most controversial decision. Chris Dickerson or the Franco Colombo is was 81. They're like hand in hand for number 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think Chris Dickerson was fairly blocky for even that era. He didn't have much of an X frame at all. It was just kind of a straight up and down.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. I can't explain it. It looked like he was almost like a Lego man in a way.
Not really much quad sweep either, right?
Right. Yeah, just kind of a straight look.
He had calves.
Yeah,
calves for days.
Calves.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to go there, but I mean, there's been things thrown around about Joe Weider and sexuality. It's no secret that Chris Dickerson was gay, and there's some people have suggested that. I think you kind of know where I'm going with this.
Oh Lord.
And I don't know. I said there has been questions through the years about Joe Weider and his sexuality. Number of people have brought it up. And like I said, Chris Dickerson, we know he was openly gay. So
Hmm.
Whatever. The guys seem to be into, dudes and chicks, physique wise. I mean, maybe he did swing both ways a little bit. Didn't even know it.
Maybe
Maybe he did.
that answers the question about Chris Dickinson becoming Mr. Olympia.
What about it now?
Well, I said maybe that answered the question about Chris Dickinson becoming a Mr. Olympia. I mean,
He's-
really was the least impressive Olympia physique-wise, Mr. Olympia we've had. And do you think he deserved to win it?
Obviously not.
And it wasn't, someone like Arnold. You got someone with all this charisma and everything, appeal. When Franco got a second win, he was buddy with Arnold. They were close friends, and Arnold was also involved with. One of the controversies was that Arnold was involved with some Olympia promotion before the 1980 Olympia. So there was, I guess you can call it a conflict of interest. So maybe that could explain a good reason why Franco got that win instead of Dave Padilla really deserved it.
Well, everyone knows it was because of Arnold. It was fixed. There's no way. I mean, Columbo's legs look like overstuffed sausages. Just his knee went out of place, and the strong man, and that was it.
Oh, that's right. The fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You watched that video, right?
Yeah, it's brutal.
Why the fuck did he try to run? If he would just kept on the walk, he actually tried to run.
I know.
Run with the fucking refrigerator. that was where the mistake was. But then you had a lot more impact.
Yeah.
Fast walking pace, and then running. The impact is different, and that's really what fucked him up.
Yep, I agree. Yeah.
Do you think if Arnold another argument was that if Arnold would have been around in this day and age, that he would have been, well, how would have Arnold have done in this era? With the way he was, with the technology we have now, with the knowledge on the gear and nutrition, training, where would he stand now?
I think that's a really good question because genetically, Arnold was pretty superior when bodybuilding genetics. And obviously, science and chemistry has evolved since then, and especially protocol. So it's hard to say because maybe it would have ruined his physique or maybe it would have made it better. It's kind of up in the air because the protocol these guys have to go through these days is so extensive compared to even back then.
You're right.
Let me ask you this, Josh. Arnold was 6'2", right?
Yeah.
He's 6'2". Okay. That's a tall man. That's a big frame to fill out. By today's standards, he'd have to be on stage at least 300 pounds conditioned or in that range with that height, with that frame. Would he be able to fill it out?
And he would literally have to be like a Dennis Wolf for open bodybuilding to attain that kind of size and symmetry. But if I were to guess, Arnold was to do bodybuilding today, I think he would go for the classic physique.
Yeah, true.
And I think he'd go against guys like Chris Bumstead and Beyond and all those guys. And that's where I think he would hold up really well in terms of today's bodybuilding.
So he outweighs, but he would outweigh them right now currently, wouldn't he?
Currently, yes, but if he cut down enough, he would be right around Chris's weight and size.
Wait a second. I don't think he would outweigh him. He's six. How tall is Chris Bumstead?
I think he's 6'1".
Okay, Arnold was 6'2". Okay, How heavy do you think he was at his best on stage? I'm curious what you think.
230.
Yeah, about 230, 235. So I don't
Yeah.
even think he's. I think he would have no problem with the weight.
Right, it's 225 for the cutoff on that, right?
I didn't hear that.
225 for the cutoff, 6 foot Zeke. I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the height, weight, and everything, but I'm pretty sure that he's fine. He's gonna be absolutely fine at that height and weight. It's
Yeah.
perfect, actually.
Yeah, well, I know I got to get to 185 for mine.
Yeah, you're gonna get shredded, man.
Yeah, I know I can lose it. It's just going to be real shitty.
It is gonna be real shitty.
But you're like I generally stay a little heavier in my off seasons. Like you're like what, like 8% year round, 10 tops.
Last time I checked it, I was at 220 and it had me at 7.9.
That's crazy.
I don't understand how, but it just is. You know, it said my lean body mass weight was 205, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So I don't even think I can do light heavy anymore unless I actually just cut some muscle off.
So
Start
when
But
you compete again, what class you think you're going to be in? What are you going to do?
unfortunately, heavyweight. That's where it's
Wow.
going to be. Yeah. Because, I mean, this last time I got really shredded, and I was hovering between 210 and 211.
Wow.
And,
Yeah, I remember when you were at that weight, I was asking.
That's
Yeah.
a small.
That was for your last show that got canceled, right?
right.
Yeah. Yeah, shit.
The cutoff is 225, right? For heavyweight.
Yes, 225. Yep.
So you're really on the low end.
Yeah, on the low end for sure. I just
Yeah.
wish they moved that light heavyweight class up a little bit.
So there's no way you could fit into a 212, huh? You don't think?
Well, I don't think 212 is offered in the NPC, unless I'm missing out. I don't know.
See, there's
Oh.
no.
Oh,
There's no-
that's right.
There's no 212. It's the weight. It's the open weight classes. Bantam through super heavyweight, and then when you turn pro, you're gonna make your decision whether you're gonna be an open competitor
Or 212.
or a 212.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's what I think that was one of the reasons why Jose Raymond turned down a few pro cards, is he wanted to put on a little more size. He knew he was going to the 212. He wasn't going to the open, but he wanted to put in a little more size before he stepped on a pro stage. So he actually, I think he turned down the pro card 2 times and maybe 3 times before he finally accepted it and went into the pros. And he, so at that time, he was a number of pounds heavier and became competitive pretty quickly. And I think it was 202 when he first started.
That reminds me. Do you remember that one dude, Josh, in the INBA? I think his name was Sam or Sammy, and he was like a favorite. And he always he never turned pro, but he would stay a novice. And every novice show like he would ever go to, he would win it because he would never take his pro card, but he was so good that he would just win the novice shows no matter what.
Was it the powerlifter guy too?
I don't think he was a power lifter. No.
No.
I think his name was Sam, but it was like I remember people commenting like it was like the 4th show he won that year, and people were like, "Why the fuck doesn't he just move up to pro? He just comes here and beats all these novice people who actually are novice."
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. That's
How
good. I don't know.
did he do that as a novice?
Well, like he in the INBA, it's definitely a lot different, like criteria than the NPC or whatever, and it's really mom and pop is the way to describe it. The fact that they would let him keep doing that and keep beating people and get,
They wouldn't let that. They wouldn't allow something like that in the NPC.
and make you move up.
No.
With.
Oh.
Yeah.
You disqualify at that point. They either say you're going to go open or disqualify. One of the two.
I'm not sure the exact rules, but I believe if you win your class in a novice, I think you can compete more than once in a novice. You can do that, but if you win your class in a novice, I don't think you can.
Yeah, you can't stay in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's top 3 in the novice. Like if you get top 3, then you have to move up to amateur level, just open.
I was competing from between 2004, 5, 6, 7. I haven't competed since 2007, so I'm not totally up on the rules and the procedures. But yeah, well, but definitely if you won your class, you weren't competing in a novice again. That was for sure.
Right.
Listen, we haven't had our Ramy discussion yet, Chris. Did you see Dan Solomon's post on Instagram?
I understand Ramy he's promising to come to the Olympia.
Yeah, he told Dan Solomon thinks he sounds very, very motivated, and he promises that he'll be at the Olympia. But we've heard promises before. You know what? Jermaine is the president of the IFBB. He promised them he's going to be there. He was featured on a poster as the featured guest poser at the Pittsburgh Pro. Does his promise hold in weight?
Well, I mean, someone who lies a couple of times loses their credibility.
Everybody could just say, well, he didn't say he said he wasn't going to retire until he was 38, and he's 37 now, so he'll do one more show, and then he'll retire maybe next year. But you know what? He's 37 now, yeah, but he's 38 in September, in December. He doesn't really seem very motivated. He doesn't seem motivated at all. He doesn't have the minds. He doesn't have the real mindset of a champion.
Well, if you compare him to Jay Cutler and stuff, when Jay was, making his reign, I mean, you could just all the videos, content he ever put out, like you just tell, like he said, he lived in a box.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said before, I'm not 100% sure that he's actually gonna show up. He is a king in the Middle East, Egypt, and he's enjoying a good life. I guarantee he was making a lot more, doing a lot better with things outside of bodybuilding out there in the Middle East than he can do over here with bodybuilding. He goes out on the top. He's still a king there. Maybe a few losers. And like I said, his last win was questionable. I don't believe that. I think there's a good chance he's not showing up.
I think it's great how they idolize bodybuilders over there in the Middle East so much. Yeah, I feel like it used to be like that over here, and now like the energy shifted to where it's like, oh, you're in shape, you're a bodybuilder, like you're full of yourself, How
dare you take care of yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Assuming we fat shame people too.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of sports out there. And truth is, there's good genetics out there for bodybuilding. There are a lot of really good bodybuilders from that region of the world. That's the truth.
Yep.
Right.
I heard that Ramy was supposed to show up to a guest posing thing, and he didn't show up. And I also heard that may disqualify him for the Olympia.
Oh, really? Disqualified?
Yeah.
Qualifying them. But you know what happens? Not just there's politics, but there's politics in everything, and there's whether you like it or not, there's politics in bodybuilding. No matter how impartial they want to be, if it's even close by any means, there's absolutely no way if he shows up that he's walking away with the title. No way.
So then, who do you think will?
What do you think of him, Josh?
Remy,
Yeah.
I think he's overrated, honestly.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'm actually not a big fan of today's open bodybuilders in general. I feel
Yeah.
like the amount of stuff they have to do to get where they're at creates such an imbalance, it looks stupid. And I feel sorry for them because of the stuff they have to go through to get to that level. It just looks distorted from what the original sport was supposed to implement. And that's why my eye always goes towards classic physique, because to me, that's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Some of the protocols are doing aren't even needed because it's actually making the physique look worse.
Mhm.
Some of the things they're doing. So, in their attempt to improve, they're actually hurting themselves. I think.
I won't disagree with that. I think you're absolutely right. And it's kind of sad that that's what it's become, and it's not only the male level, but it's the female level as well.
Oh man, that's right.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
getting really, really bad. I mean, it's becoming common. It's almost like a trademark now for women in bodybuilding and powerlifting that they're not lifting heavy enough unless they piss themselves. It's like, at what point did we think that internal combustion in the human body is okay? It's a badge of honor.
Right.
So I don't know. The whole thing it's all glorified through media. And the media is what really takes it over, and people want to see more and more freakish stuff. So that's why they just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's kind of like how you see like on TikTok, YouTube, or whatever social media stuff. Like you got these people who they're popular because they're so obese and they eat all this food, but that's what the viewers want to see.
Yeah.
They make tons of money. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then they're
it's weird.
dying. You know, and there's one girl that my wife tracks. She's extremely anorexic. I mean, this chick, you could see like her bones like in her elbow, kind of skinny, and she's popular. Like it's almost bad that people get. It's bad the attention comes because of those things. It's the freaky factor that people seem to want to see rather than something.
I was gonna say they're all freaks in their own way.
Yeah, that's
Everybody likes a
true.
freak. Everybody likes a freak show.
Hmm.
It's like you
Where
drive by an accident scene. You can't help but look. Everybody likes a freak show.
True. Everybody's
Whereas-
rubbernecking.
Whereas what we're all saying we prefer is symmetry, and symmetry is something that flows. So it'd be easy for someone without the eye to just look over that and be like, whatever. When
Yep.
really, if you don't see something that stands out in a freakish way, like, oh, the guy has capped shoulders or has capped this or big that, the fact that nothing stands out means everything is in balance. The only thing that should stand out would be like the conditioning, the cuts, the muscle separation, and the shapes,
Yep.
And depending on a few factors, your size, your structure, there's a point where too much weight or a certain amount of weight becomes too much. I mean, it all depends on a few different factors. Ronnie Coleman. Oh, Ronnie Coleman 2003 was like something from another planet. And he was still conditioned, but if you take a 98 or 99 Ronnie Coleman, look at that, look at him. He was pretty close to perfection. And if you look at him side by side next to the other guys he was competing against, he wasn't quite the size he was in 2003. He was still a lot bigger anyway than everyone else he was going up against.
Yeah.
But then it comes to a point where, depending on your size and your frame, your structure, and everything, you're going to reach a point where it's more weight than you should be carrying. You're not going to look the same. There's a line where you cross where it changes the look of the physique, and everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
I think Derek Lunsford right now is riding that line perfectly.
Big
Oh.
time. Big
Yeah,
time.
his waist is still small, and it looks like his lats and legs got bigger.
I don't see how he can make the way he's looking at his weight and the way he's looking physique wise. I don't see how he's gonna make 212 without flattening out.
I don't either. I mean, what is he right now? Like, what they say, 235, 240?
That was my guess. I was just guessing though, but I believe that if he is.
Yeah, because that's what he looks like to me, and that's a hell of a weight drop to get to 212.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's gonna ruin his physique if he does that, I think.
And he's like 5'6", ain't he?
Yeah.
He might be a little tall, maybe 5'7", but he's not very tall at all. But he has great shape also.
Yeah, incredibly. I just always thought every show he could have brought more separation and dryness. You know, if he did that, he would secure a win, no problem.
Yeah, dryness definitely. I feel like he did always get a bit watered down when show day hit. It's weird though, because I feel like that's a lot of the bodybuilders. You see them 2 weeks out, they look actually drier than they do on stage because they start messing with the carbs a little too hard.
It's 2 weeks out and 2 days after in the gym. You're in the gym 2 days late, 2 days after the show. You're like, why the fuck did I look like this on stage? Man,
Exactly.
everything.
Yep.
So it's hard to nail it. It's not very easy.
Yeah.
There's one dude I know. I'll leave his name out because it's a little bit of criticism, but I'm friends with him on Facebook too. I know him here in town, and he's posting these pictures online, and he's looking veiny and freaky as hell. And then, you know, when you saw him on stage, you know, there was no vein factor. No, he wasn't quite as cut. You could tell he was holding some water like in his stomach and like just everywhere, really. Just he didn't look as dry as he was in the gym.
Do you think that's because people rely too much on hydration manipulation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, people freak out towards the end and think they got to make all these drastic changes when you should just keep doing what you've been doing and maybe make some small tweaks like towards the very, very end. I mean, small tweaks of like extra salt or something. And of course you're cutting your water, but still drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just towards the end. We were talking the other week how people are taking diuretics 2 weeks out from a show.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah.
If you're doing everything right during your prep, you should basically be pretty much ready about 2 weeks out, and just ride into it. Don't you know? There's an old expression: "Don't fix what ain't broke."
Right.
And
that's oh, go ahead.
we get a couple of days after we see ourselves in the gym mirror. A couple of days after, why the fuck did we look like that? To try to nail that look when you step on stage is very difficult. And what about these guys when they have a 2-day show and they got to do it on 2 separate days? It's not easy to do. You should be basically ready a couple of weeks before. Like Chris said, a few little tweaks along the way. Just ride into it.
Yep. Try to keep your stress low.
I was trying to think about what to do the next time, but like you said, it's like you look better, you know, after you've eaten so much food and stuffed yourself. But it's like you got to find that fine line of eating just enough, but not blowing out your stomach before the show.
I usually think maybe if I start that the prep week started 3 days earlier, and then
right.
Is it going to work like that? You know what I'm trying to say, right? Is it going to work? But like I said, it's all timing. It might work, it might not. It might blow up in your face.
So let's go over some science stuff. It takes 24 hours for fat to assimilate, like to show up visually in your body. Is that right?
From what I read, yes.
Yeah.
And then carbs is pretty quick. I mean,
well, it's because water retention. Your cells just may not process it right, especially when you're on a level of that kind of cut. It's tricky.
So, I remember Dave Palumbo talking about fat loading while you are carb loading,
Yeah.
and that's to allow your body to actually absorb the carbs more. And it's when you think about what he's talking about, you're basically eating your all the bullshit after the show kind of thing. Like you're getting your fats, you're getting your carbs, you're getting salts. I would say pretend like you're eating your meal after you won your show, but just keep your water so tight that any crap that you might have eaten won't show up under your skin. If anything, it'll absorb it even more, pull
Right.
more water out from under your skin if you do it right.
Right.
And that's like, I think the time you would have extra salt. I was even like asking Jeff Schneider, I was like, should we try like the vodka trick the night before as well? So, I mean, there's so many things you could think of or try to do, but again, you don't want to do something totally crazy and just throw it all off.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I can tell you firsthand that I had 2 shots of whiskey that night that the show got canceled, a pizza, and a shit ton of carbs, and I woke up the next morning just shredded.
yeah.
So it does work.
I was telling these guys too. Last weekend, I ate a whole pizza and a good amount of tequila, and the next day I woke up just like veiny as fuck.
Amazing what it does.
So
How many days are you? Okay. How many days are you taking during your prep? How many months are you prepping for?
I'm gonna start literally like in a week. So I'm gonna be 4 months of prep.
That's 120 days, right?
Yeah,
How many hours a day are you sleeping?
at least 7 to 8.
Okay, and the rest of those hours, technically, you're bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So you're putting all that time. You're putting all that time. You're putting all that time into it, right?
Not all.
Why you want to take chances at the last minute? Because you only have one chance on stage. You're putting all those out. You take all those hours for every day. Those what was it, 16 hours a day? You're bodybuilding for 120 days. That's a lot of fucking hours.
Hey, no guts, no glory, man.
Why you want to take chances and blow it?
Because I think you're always changing things each show to try to achieve a better look. And I mean, sure, you'll find something that works, you repeat it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, you're trying to make improvements. But like I said, if you're doing things properly, your preparation is proper, you really should be just about stage ready 2 weeks out. It's a matter of tightening up a little bit, drying out a little bit, and keeping my muscles full.
I'm not fighting on that. That's definitely what you want to do. But we can't ignore the thought and the scenario of the day or two after when you've eaten a bunch of bullshit that you look way better.
Yeah.
So it's like, should you try to implement something like that? Yeah, it's kind of a drastic change, but it's like when you cheat meal during the week. If you cheat meal, let's say you choose pizza and you eat till you pop, but it's only one sitting and you eat all that food, you always get away with it. You never spill over from like filling your stomach completely from pizza or any amount of food you could possibly eat, at least in my opinion. But if you went 2 meals in a row, you're done.
Right.
That's at least what happens to me if I'm bad over the weekend. If I do 2 meals in a row of bullshit, then it shows. 1 meal, I just look better.
I mean, I really think you always need to do at that point, if you're doing it right, is just tighten up a little bit, pull out a little bit of water. And you got to be careful that that's the problem. They over diuretic, and even if they don't cause a health scare, what happens if you pull too much water out? It comes up. Where's it coming from? It's coming from your muscles. So why just do your prep right, and you should be basically ready a couple of weeks out, and just make those little tweaks. Yeah, you change year to year, but you should be able to pick up on those little changes and just make the adjustments. Just don't. The point is, don't do anything drastic.
Hmm. Yeah. Josh, how's your protocol from year to year? Is it like 95, 98% the same, or do you what areas do you think of changing?
I noticed that, with me personally, I kind of delved into more fats, more carbs, more fats, more carbs. I personally now genetically do better with age at a moderate fat, like a higher carb, higher protein protocol. When I started I was a couple weeks ago, I started trying to implement more fats. I noticed I was getting a little bit thicker than I needed to be. So I dropped the fats back down. I went up to almost 80 grams, and for me, that's a lot. So I dropped back down to 60, and I'm already leaning back out. So I know that's where my body needs to be. It just seems that I'm so much more performance oriented. I need more carbs than I do fats.
So say at 60 grams of fat a day, would that line you up once a week to actually need a fat load, kind of a cheat meal thing, or is that just week to week to week?
No, I always do, no matter what. I always do at least one meal where I just kind of like let go. I still track, but I will go over for sure.
Got you.
Yeah, and it does help.
What's your favorite meal to do that with?
Oh man, there's a couple. One is pancakes for sure, and the other one is definitely pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's sushi for me.
Yeah, sushi's amazing too.
Dude, we found this great restaurant recently, and it's across the street from my house. Go figure. Been going there, and last time me and my wife went there, the lady just stopped coming to our table, and
Wow.
she kept walking by, like look at her, like kind of like raise my hand a little bit, not trying to be rude, keep walking. 15 minutes went by, didn't come back, and then like we were just like, all right, we'll just get our check. But it was supposed to be all you can eat. It's the third sushi place that's dogged me like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know.
I think it's the times, man. Everybody's running out of inventory.
See, it's good. I'm helping them turn it over, keep it fresh.
Yeah, that's right.
How many pieces of sushi you put down at one time?
So this place, when they do the nigiri, it's not fat balls of rice. Another reason I like them. So one of the times I put down like 90 something.
The sushi, not sashimi. It's
Not sashimi. Nigiri.
Okay.
Which sashimi is just pure meat.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Unfortunately, they don't include that in all you can eat, because if they did,
Hey, it's not included?
it's not included, no. But yeah, that's why I love Reno. We're probably one of the few places that have all you can eat sushi for like $25-$30.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I'm sorry I got to bail. I got to go show a house here soon, but thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming. You can join us any Saturday if you want.
Okay, sounds good. I look forward to it.
You're welcome. You got something you want to plug? Be my guest. Feel free to do it.
All right. We'll do. Yeah, thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Josh.
Have a nice Saturday.
All right, you too, man. Take care, bro.
Thanks, you too.
Take care. All right. So Arnold is definitely overrated, right?
Yeah.
I tried out a few people. It's kind of like when I used to be a big boxing buff. Once the 90s, into the 90s, I started losing interest. But I go back in the late 1800s for boxing. And people jump on me for it. I always said Mike Tyson was overrated. And I still to this day, and you know what, anybody into boxing, I will argue with them. I actually found a couple of people that agree with me, but a lot of people are quick to jump on me. When I say Arnold is overrated, so many people are quick to jump on you. But if you break it down, and there were better physiques in his era.
Who would you say should have beat Arnold?
Let me tell you something. I think Franco had a better physique than Arnold. He was short in stature. Overall, I think I like Franco's physique. Serge Nubret.
Yeah.
I mean, and his posing. I mean, there was a size disparity, but if you take away the size and you're judging all the other factors on bodybuilding, where bodybuilding was supposed to be judged, Frank Zane and Arnold. Come on. I don't know. Maybe you think I'm crazy, but if you take away the size factor and look at every other criteria we're supposed to judge bodybuilding by,
I don't know. I think Arnold won every year fair and square except 1980. I think 74 was his best look ever.
yes, fair and square, and by no fault of his own. One was he had nobody to compete against.
Yeah, I know.
Other one, I really think it was two shows. It was two competitors. Like I said, that's by no fault of his own. That's just the way it was. And the 1980 win was highly controversial. I think there were better physiques in his time. Back then, those first few Olympias, how were they? I know it first started because they wanted to get all the universe winners getting together and see who was the best, and that became the Mr. Olympia. But what after that? What brought him to the Olympia? I don't remember those first few years.
What brought who to the Olympia? What year?
Like now we qualify. There's qualifications. You win a pro show, you qualify to go. If you happen to get a special invite, which has happened, I know originally it was the Mr. Olympia was started to get all these universe champions together to see who the best was, and that became the Olympia. But in those early years, in the 70s, how were they getting to the? I don't remember. How were they getting to the Olympia?
I feel like I remember in Pumping Iron, like Mike Katz training, and like he was in a show. I guess he was trying to win. Maybe he won it in that show. Is one where he got his shirt taken and he was talking about qualifying for the Olympia.
That was a universe.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess you do back then. If sounded like he was trying to qualify.
Well, that universe was being held at the same location and the same time frame that the Olympia was. It was like, I guess you can call it the undercard. So the winner, actually think was qualified last year. But how many of those other competitors that were on stage? Well, actually, we're talking about 75. In the over, it was only 3 competitors. I don't remember how many were in the under. I don't remember.
And the other thing, like with Arnold, winning back in the day, you pointed out like there was one show where it was like 3 people on stage, maybe 4, for the Olympia.
No fault of his own, but that's just the way it is.
So it's just I'm not saying it's the same, but it reminds me when like there's some people I know and they compete because I'm not disrespecting anyone in the age brackets of the upper ones because it's great you're competing at that age, but like I've known some guys who just look like absolute shit and they just want to go on stage to get a freaking trophy or a medal. And they're in a later age bracket and they're the only one on stage. And then they post, hey, I won my category. I got a trophy and a medal, first place.
Yeah.
But you are the only one on stage, man. Like I remember at one of my shows, this guy's bragging backstage. He's like, "Yeah, I had a pizza this morning," and da 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 da. The guy was overweight. He had a pot belly. He was fat, and he was in a freaking opposing trunks. It was the worst sight ever. Should not have been on stage. And this guy won his category.
Well, was that you talking to? Are you talking about that guy who went to the universe? And there was a big thing about it. I actually made a video about it also.
Was
But
it natural?
No, he was. It was the NPC,
Okay.
and he's actually competed for. You know, some people thought he had issues or he was autistic or something like that. I didn't know his backstory, but then we found out that he was actually competing for a number of years, and the way he looked when he first could step on stage, you might see a novice step on stage like that, but then if they're serious and keep up with it, you see the improvements. They come back and they keep on. He went the opposite direction, and he was at a show. I don't know what state he was competing in. Trying to remember what weight class. I can't remember what weight class, and he was the only competitor. So, and it was a qualifier.
God.
Oh no, it wasn't a universe. It was I think it was for the nationals, and it was a national qualifier, and he was the only one in his division, so he
Of
had to
course.
be on stage.
Of
And
course, they'll want him to win, and they want him to come back because they want his money.
yeah, I mean, at that point, they should set some criteria and say, listen, it's bad for business. It's just bad for business. If something is going to hurt your business, you have a right to protect it. It's just bad for business. It's one thing if that person was 300 plus pounds when they started training, and all of a sudden they dropped out to that kind of weight, which if they were 300 plus pounds before, they end up looking like that after, that would be okay. It's like, well, they made a transformation for the good. So they want to, but it wasn't that scenario. It was actually just the opposite. It looked better 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and regressed. I don't know. If you go back, if you Google it, you'll be able to find some images. I'll look, and I'll see if I can find the images. I'll look my video. I'll send you the video. There's some images there. So I guess we both agree that Arnold's overrated. And you know what? I'm not sure. You think he would do the classic instead of the open? I'm not so sure he can dominate the classic now.
You know, I think there's a lot of people comparing Arnold to Chris Bumstead. They do like these pictures side by side. They take the measurements, whatever. I still like Arnold's shape and physique more than Chris Bumstead. No matter what, like you can point out about Chris's physique, like he's obviously more shredded than Arnold ever was on stage by like at least 1% or 2.
Balance.
Well, see, I don't like Chris's arms. I think they lack peaks. They're like big pipes, but they lack the factor.
Peak. When you say peak, I think we're talking about the same thing. A peak is genetic. It's the way the muscle is tied in. Some people, I hear these people go, I do this exercise for the bicep peak and this and that, and you know what? It's genetic. It's the way the muscle is tied in, and that's the way when you say peak, I think of Robbie Robinson, Kai Green, Ronnie Coleman. Look at it's the way the muscle is tied in.
Sure.
Lee Cruz has great arms, were arguably the best arms ever in bodybuilding. But
I agree.
can't call his biceps peak because of the way they're tied, the way the muscle is tied in. So when you say peak, and like I said, if you look at his front double bicep, the muscles are tied in different from one bicep to the next. So the shape is different.
I know that. I have that in mind. Yeah, he's got longer bicep heads that go straight to his elbow. And like you just pointed out, though, Lee Priest had bicep bellies that go all the way to his elbow as well, but they were peaked with that. And like, I'm not saying that like peaks are like. I'm not saying it's not genetic, but like you can at least make what you have bigger, you know, and you can probably shape it to some degree with your muscle maturity and the time and the reps you're putting in, the type of quality form, like any how it applies to any other muscle in your body,
I
right?
think maybe the word peak is evolved or changed or just misused. Because like I said, when I when I think of a peak on a bicep, it's a particular look, and you see that on, like I said, Robbie Robinson.
Yeah,
You see that on a Kai Green, and you see it on Ronnie Coleman, and each one is because of the way the muscle is tied in. There's a different look. The way it comes up, it's really like a peak. One is like more like a big hill. Or mountain comes up, but doesn't really have a peak. The other one is really peaked.
well, yeah, and then like you said, it's genetics, right? We're judging people's genetics to a big degree, and my statement, I don't like Chris's arms. That's the one body part I don't like on him because I'm picking him apart because he's the top guy. I like Breon's arms better.
But I don't think you can argue the balance. And I think the
Yeah,
balance shape. I think he has better. I think he has better shape and structure than Arnold. And I think there's really a lot of balance in the muscle. I think Arnold could have that if he was competing in this day and age. His mindset, he'll push it, and I think he'll bring the conditioning. But
I
uh, I think Chris Bumstead has better genetic. My opinion. We all have our opinions. I think Chris Bumstead has better genetics for bodybuilding.
well, and you know I gotta agree with you because when we're talking about genetics, we're talking about symmetry, and he just said Chris is more symmetrical than Arnold was, which is true. Arnold had a few freaky things to his semi-symmetrical physique, and it was a good balance of freakiness and symmetry for Arnold. But yeah, I think rolling back to the way Chris Bumstead looks, there's nothing on him that looks freaky. Like I was saying earlier, he's just balanced and cut and aesthetic. So the fact that his arms don't jump out like what I was describing is probably a good thing. I mean,
But there is a wow factor when he walks out on stage. It's not his mass, but when he walks on stage, there is a wow factor.
the wow factor is the muscle maturity or the shape and the separations he's got, his symmetry, right?
It's like, holy shit! Look at that fucking guy. There's a wow factor.
Sure. Yeah. But it's not from being freaky in one or two areas. It's
No,
from being
no, it's
like a there's like a word for it. I can't remember what I'm trying to say, but yeah, we'll go with symmetrical.
there's balance. There's a lot of there's balance. It's the whole package, really.
Right, right, and that's why he's winning. Uh,
He's as white. Not only is he tall, he's as white as fuck. He's as white as fuck. and that makes that waist of his look even smaller.
Right. Yeah, achieving that X frame look. Or Tony Freeman was the X Man. He had that good X frame. So did Dennis Wolf had a good X frame too.
Tony Freeman should have got him better placings.
Yeah, he should have. Yep.
He should have got Tony Freeman should have got him better placings. I think his kid is bodybuilding now on the amateur level.
He what now?
I think his kid is bodybuilding on the amateur level.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I can remember seeing a video with him and his kid, and he was talking about it. I'm
He's
99% sure it was Tony Freeman. I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because he's downsized a lot since, I believe, and he was talking to Dave Palumbo about like all his health markers and how, you know, when he was 300 pounds, like things weren't too good on the inside, and ever since he downsized, he's perfect again.
He said since his kid wanted to do it, he wants to, can't make decisions for him. He wants to make sure he does it as safe as possible.
Sure.
That's you can't run somebody else's life. We all whether you're the parent or not, we get to a certain age, we make our own decisions. But he has knowledge, and he wants to try to make it. If he's going to go that route, he wants to try to make it as safe as possible.
With that in mind, what do you think about the teamwork between the Labradas? Like, obviously, Hunter is gigantic compared to his dad, but also he's just straight up bigger. And I wonder, is his dad like, is he helping with his protocol? Does he know what his son's taking? Is he okay with it?
I know he's working with his posing. Actually, if you look at him, not only facially does he look like Lee, structurally, he's like no pun intended. He's like Lee Labrada on steroids. You know the expression, like that super grass that grows. It's like it grows like grass on steroids. I mean, that's the best way I can. I'm not saying that Lee Labrada was drug free, but you know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about. You understand? As far as I don't think he's doing anything else, but he's helping him with posing. I know he has a new coach in Ben Chow. You know Ben Chow is?
No.
He was very close friends with Luke Sandow. That's what got him to become a regular on Fuad Abiyad's podcast. Although we haven't seen him lately. I think he's been very busy. He also competes, but through his closeness with Luke Sandow, that initially got him on with Fuad, then he became a regular. I think Ben Chow has taken over his training and protocol, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that I'm not sure if he's married or they're just still a boyfriend, girlfriend, but his woman, from what I understand, is taking over his nutrition. But you talk about Hunter, have you seen any of Nick Trigili's video about him?
No, I did not see Nick's video.
He covered a video of Hunter where he's going. I watched a couple of his training things. I never really watched about his diet and nutrition, but it seems as though he blends everything.
Oh, like puts everything in a blender and drinks it?
Blends chicken and rice.
I always thought about trying that.
You know what? I don't think it's a great idea. You know what? Sean Roden did that with fish. That's when he had his jaw wires shut, and he didn't want to stop his prep. That's a different story. He
Yeah.
couldn't open and close his mouth. He had no choice. He didn't want to stop his prep. So the only way to get his protein in was to drink. But he didn't drink just shakes. He blended his fish. But he doesn't like to eat, or he has issues with eating. Well, you know what? If that's the case, there are doctors that you can go to. There are tests you can take to find out what maybe there's a reason why you're having issues eating, and you correct it. I don't think uh, a shake is a meal replacement. You got that meal replacement. There's a time and a place for it. And yes, there'll be situations where you might not be able to get a good, healthy meal in, but you might be able to run into a store and find a meal replacement so you don't go without something. But shouldn't be drinking your meals. You shouldn't be blending all your chicken and rice, but you don't feel like. And if you have a problem eating, find out why.
I've got a recipe I heard of for blending stuff. So this do you remember Antoine Villant?
Yeah, but didn't he have his? Didn't he also have his drawer wide shut at one time?
I don't think Antoine did, no, but he always had his super awesome cooking segments on YouTube. And
Okay, I know him. I didn't watch him back then. Okay, I know he had a lot of YouTube stuff up.
so
Go
he,
ahead.
he had this one recipe for a shake, and in theory it sounds right, but like you said, you cook a chicken breast completely, and then you freeze it, and you freeze it till it's like a block of ice, or you might want to like cut it up into cubes before you freeze it, but then you freeze it so it's as cold as ice, and then when you throw it in the blender with like pineapple and like strawberries or whatever, he's like, you don't taste it. He's like, the chicken breast has no taste to it, especially
Okay,
when it's frozen like that. And so he said when you put all the fruit in, it's like you're just having a smoothie. You can't even tell there's meat in there.
okay. How many meals a day was he having like that though?
Oh, I don't think it was all the time, but it was at least a recipe that sounded enticing.
Okay, you know what? That's totally different. It might be interesting to try for your post workout
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
instead of
But
I mean, everybody's the whey protein. You might be onto something. Maybe it'll work great for a post workout drink.
right,
But
maybe.
like I said, the supplement. You asked about Hunter Labrada. You know, I don't think his conditioning is where. How do I say this? Not that he's not low in body fat, but
Yeah,
there's a softness. There's a
he's
certain
great.
softness, and it might have something to do with his eating protocol. He fucking blends Rice Krispies also and throws it in.
He always holds water every time, and that's
Maybe the way he's eating.
yeah. I don't know what Hunter's doing wrong, but I feel like he should have gotten it down by now.
Or lack of eating, drinking. That goes back to, you know what? Uh, we ask who's handling and stuff. I said bench child training, his father posing, and his woman diet. Obviously, either whoever's handling his nutrition, either they're handling it wrong or they're not actually handling it. He has final say on what he's doing. Would you give anybody a protocol of drinking all your meals? Would you have somebody blending the chicken and rice and blending all their meals to drink? So from what he says, he's saying he's eating one solid meal a day, and the rest he's drinking.
That sounds
So
weird, man.
he seems to have control of what he's doing, or whoever's preparing it, doing his diet. His woman doesn't know what they're doing.
That just sounds absurd. Just sounds too extreme. You know, your body likes balance. It likes food. Feed it fucking 4 to 5 times a day and call it good. Eat some food. That's all I say.
I had 2 shakes a day,
Same.
but I was eating. But that's when I was eating 8 meals a day.
Yeah. I don't.
It's not. It's even though I was having 2 shakes a day, it's not the same as 5, 6 of my meals. It's like I said, I'm eating a lot of meals,
Mm,
and I tend to have a little. I used to have a little bloat issue, and it was just easier, more convenient. 2 of them, I would get up in the middle of the night to put something down. So you're not getting up in the middle of the night when during your sleeping hours to start eating a solid meal.
I
Uh,
wouldn't.
I have something. One of my meals would be solid food, but it'd be all broken up and very easy to put down quick. And one would be a drink, and then the other drink would be post workout. But I ate food.
Yeah.
I normally ate food.
Yeah. That's the way you should do it. I always hear these extreme things. You always hear about those like extreme diets where people are like, I'm gonna do nothing but smoothies, or nothing but like a liquid cleanse diet, bullshit like that. Uh, it's like just do what nature intended. Have balance with your diet. Don't do anything extreme. If you do something extreme, do it for a short period of time, and then go
Most,
back to normal.
most things in moderation
Yeah,
are fine. Too
yeah.
much a good thing usually is bad.
Even water.
Yeah, you like we discussed it before. You can water intoxication. I don't know at what point you would get there, but you can die from too
Hey,
much water.
your
So
your brain can swell up too.
yeah, so a lot of shit go on. So I'm glad I thought I was gonna get jumped on. Well, I had a heads up by you. You know what Josh's opinion was going to be with the Arnold thing. I tried
I
to discuss that with a few people, and I get the same type of argument I would get if I tried to say that Mike Tyson was overrated.
I
So I was pleasantly surprised.
I get that from people about Chris Dickerson, man. Like I've online, we're all on Facebook, and like there's people who idolize him, and I'll comment, but like I don't think he was that great, and people like they just can't believe I just said that.
Pointy elbows,
Yeah,
really bad. Some of these guys get it after a while from the training, but his was really bad. And it
yeah.
was like so freaking noticeable. Yeah, definitely the most least impressive uh, Mr. Olympia of all time. You don't know how glad I am that I didn't get jumped. I was ready. I was ready for a big argument over Arnold. I really
Well,
expected a different response, and
we'll see.
I don't think in the open he would have been able to make it in the open today for sure. 'Cause I don't think he'd be able to fill out his frame the same way. I do agree with you about the probably classic, but even then, he would choose classic, but I don't think he would. He'd be classic. Hasn't been around for a long time, and it was going through these changes over the first few years. Looks like the Bumstead look is that's the type of look they're looking at, and some of these guys that are coming up that are looking really good have similar features that he has. I don't think he would have been uh, top dog today in classic either. That's just my humble opinion.
It'd be interesting to see 1974 Arnold.
Oh, 74. We're not talking about pumping iron, Arnold. I agree with you on that one. 74 was probably his best look.
Wasn't he 245 that year?
No. I don't think he ever stepped on stage more than 235.
Even in '74, I thought he was.
You know what? He might have been in the 240 range in 1980. But
1980.
before then, but whatever way, and he's still 6'2". That's a lot of height. But I definitely agree with you. The 1974 Arnold
Yeah.
was his best Arnold, but I'm not sure that he could be a top dog right now in the classic. I think a Chris Bumstead would just has more tools. I think he has better genetics, and I don't think he'd be able to beat a lot of these guys. I don't think he could beat a Chris Bumstead.
You know, it'd be really cool since we have all this technology now, and like in China, they have like concerts of like Michael Jackson or whoever, like in the hologram stuff.
Yeah, you can create it, but even still, it's just it's still guesswork.
It
You won't
is, yeah.
know unless there was actually a time machine where you could transport these people and give them all the same things to work with. It's still guesswork.
Right. Yep.
The
We'll
training
never
coming.
know.
Let's get ready to wrap this. Your training
Sure.
coming along good?
My training?
Yeah, your training.
Yeah, yeah, it's going really well. Last chest day, I got 365 for 12 reps in a row, and nothing's hurting me right now. All my other workouts, I'm just keeping making some PRs at the same weight for more reps.
I don't
So
remember. Is this the first time you're working with Jeff?
no, this would be the second time when we do start, which should be this week or next.
All right. I'm back onto an early schedule on Sundays again, so I want to get some cardio in there. So I want to try to wrap it up. I had a great time. I'm glad Josh came. I'm sorry
Yeah,
Jeff didn't make it. It'll be interesting if we have Jeff and Josh next Saturday.
yeah. What do you think we'll talk about then?
I don't know,
Oh,
but I want. I was hoping this would get into a debate.
I
I
got one.
I thought you guys were going to go after me today. I was hoping to get into a real serious debate.
To be honest, if Jeff was here, I think he would agree as well. And perhaps you're not so out of left field saying that or thinking it, because I guess a lot of other people are thinking that. But
Well, I think the lay person might say otherwise, but I think maybe
yeah,
it's easier to put that over with people that are a little more experienced, a little more familiar. Chris, it's been a great one again, like usual. And
absolutely.
I want to remind everybody that if you're watching this on Muscle Central, make sure you go over to Buffy the Iron Slayer, Chris's channel. And in the description in my video, there's a link directly to Chris's channel. If you're watching it at Chris's channel, Buffy the Iron Slayer, make sure you get over to Muscle Central. Either way, subscribe to both channels. And it's been fun. I had a good time. I hope everybody else enjoyed this. Chris, you want to send us off?
As always, thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for some more episodes. So,
Okay. Watch it. Is this still Iron Talk on your channel?
yeah, Iron Talk on Buffy the Iron Slayer.
Okay, this Saturday's podcast is Raging Muscle. All right, everybody, it's been fun. Have a great day.
Later, everybody.
Okay,